Nightmares are fueled by contradictions. A person you trust who suddenly wants to harm you. Being chased and your normally reliable legs stop working. If ever a movie captured that uncomfortable tension, it's the subject of this episode of Vertigo Shot, and one of the greatest nightmares ever put on film. It was called a nightmarish sort of Mother Goose tale, and it's fitting to use a contradiction to describe a film that's filled with them. Upon its release, critics didn't know what to do with it, and it was mostly ignored. But when the British Film Institute ran its prestigious Sight and Sound poll in 2022, it was named one of the greatest films ever made. For director Charles Laughton, it was his first film, and famously, his last. Its lead actor, Laughton Mitchum, a superstar in his day, who hated superstars and had little respect for his own profession. Its lead actress was also a superstar. 40 years earlier, in the silent film era, Lillian Gish was the top actress in Hollywood and had been largely forgotten when Laughton cast her. The main character of the story is a scripture-quoting reverend and a homicidal maniac. The heroes are a 12-year-old boy and an elderly woman. Adults who should be protecting children become complicit in endangering them. Whenever we think the film should go left, it goes right. We can never fully get our footing. All those contradictions translate to the screen, with haunting images that were ahead of their time, and stick in your head long after the film ends. Beauty and horror in a single shot, one that director Guillermo del Toro has said he spent his entire career trying to equal. A wide open space that somehow feels claustrophobic. A small figure, which would usually convey weakness, feels menacing and threatening. Night of the Hunter is the story of Reverend Harry Powell, a con man and criminal who masquerades as a traveling preacher, preying on vulnerable women and breaking nearly every commandment in the book, even the really bad ones. The tattoos of love and hate on the fingers of each hand that have been copied numerous times, that started here.
It's a tale of good and evil. Hate. It was with this hand that Cain
struck the blow that laid his brother low. L-O-V-E. You see these fingers, dear hearts, these fingers has veins that run straight to the soul of man.
While Harry rains down hell on the countryside, we're introduced to the Harper family. John and Pearl, the children, are about to have their lives turned upside down when their father Ben comes home, after stealing $10,000 so he can feed his starving family.
Where's your mom?
Out shopping. You're bleeding, Dad.
He has accidentally killed a cop in the process, and knows he'll be put to death for what he's done.
Listen to me, son.
But he hides the money in a place only John and Pearl know, and makes them swear to keep the secret. That hiding place is unknown to us, but will become a major driver in the story.
And I won't never tell about the money.
Now in prison, who should Ben find himself sharing his cell with but the good Reverend, who has just been arrested on a petty theft charge. It's a well-known fact that Ben has hidden the money, and naturally the Reverend believes it should be his. This scene is a great example of how a director positions the actors, also known as blocking, to convey power dynamics between characters. The conversation starts with Powell on the floor, in a position of weakness. But as the two men talk and Powell lays out a warped plan in his head, he slowly gains the higher position, and it's Ben who sits below Harry. In jail, we learn a little more about Harry's warped brand of fate.
What religion you profess, preacher?
The religion the Almighty and me worked out betwixt us.
Ben is executed, and after Harry's release, he travels to the Harper home and meets Ben's grieving widow Willa, played by Shelley Winters. He inserts himself into their lives, deceiving everyone in town, and only John is wise enough to see through the con. John knows where the money is hidden, and Harry knows that John knows. And so a cat and mouse game begins, where at times, the cat's mask slips.
Now just tell me, where's the money hid?
But that's why I promised John I wouldn't tell.
John doesn't matter. Can I get that through your head, you poor, silly, disgusting little wretch?
Laughton uses various techniques to remind us Harry is a predator, so that no matter what comes out of his mouth, the images tell the true story. We see what John sees, and what everyone else is blind to. In this shot, he positions his camera below Harry, so he's looking down at us, like we're his prey. Here, costume is used to contrast him with his surroundings, where everyone around him wears white and he wears black, conveying the subconscious idea of a wolf in sheep's clothing. And in this shot, John's tie seems more like a noose. Laughton's use of deep focus shows us the cruel juxtaposition of John's own mother Jubilant in the background. The story shifts into chase mode. Let down by all the adults in their lives, John must take Pearl on the run, leading to an escape in a rowboat. And an eerily magical journey down the river. It's here the film strikes a tone so unique and ethereal, it's hard to define without seeing it for yourself. It's remarkable in its execution, as if we've been pulled into a dream happening in the children's minds that walks a line between enchantment and dread. It is one of the most memorable and beautiful sequences in all of cinema.
Hush, little one, hush. Hush, my little one, hush. Morning soon shall light your pillow. Birds will sing in yonder willow. Hush, my little one, hush.
But Harry is always on their heels. He keeps coming and they can never stop. Like a song you can't get out of your head, he stays with them. And only Harry could make a hymn sound terrifying.
Pearl, wake up! Come on, Pearl!
The river winds its way to Rachel Cooper, a God-fearing 70-something woman who's made it her mission to take care of wayward children orphaned by the Depression. She is the spiritual antidote to Harry. He hunts children. She rescues them.
Gracious, so I've got 2 more mouths to feed.
A devoutly religious woman herself, she uses her faith to build the children back up. Inevitably, Harry catches up. But on Rachel, his charms no longer work.
John, when your dad says come, you should mind him.
He ain't my dad.
No, and he ain't no preacher neither.
A showdown begins between 2 unlikely opponents who use their faith as very different kinds of weapons. Harry sings his song, which leads to an unnerving duet. The difference between the lyrics they use being extremely symbolic.
Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus.
Ruby, go get the children out of bed and bring them down here.
And it's here, playing the David to Harry's Goliath, that Rachel makes the most poignant observation of the entire film.
It's a hard world for little things.
One of the most puzzling and famous facts about The Night of the Hunter is it's the only film Charles Laughton ever directed. He was by this time a legendary British film and stage actor.
And now today you've told us a new story entirely. The question is, Frau Helm, were you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not in fact a chronic and habitual liar?
And while it's often speculated he never directed again because of the poor reviews the film initially received, he stated that he simply preferred directing in the theater. If the theater robbed us of unmade classics helmed by Laughton, it also has to be given credit for making his sole outing so visually mesmerizing. You may have noticed something about a lot of the shots you've seen so far. They don't look real, do they? They're not supposed to. The sets often blend the realism we expect from a film with the artificial look of a stage, and that's intentional. Nightmares never do look exactly right, which makes them scarier. He lights the scenes to accentuate that effect, which led his cinematographer Stanley Cortez to remark that Laughton was one of only 2 directors he ever worked with who understood light, which he called that incredible thing that can't be described. The other director? Orson Welles. While the look of the film bears out Laughton's eye for lighting, the performances bear out his eye for casting. Robert Mitchum was a hard-drinking outcast who spent time in jail and had little respect for acting, once saying, "I gave up being serious about making pictures around the time I made a film with Greer Garson, and she took 125 takes to say no." He cared only about working on projects and roles that interested him, and in Harry Powell he found a character he would later call his favorite of all his films. He admitted his own time being around criminals in prison had helped him understand them. While it's cliché to say about a role that a certain actor is the only person who could have played it, there may have been no one else who could have brought the authenticity Mitchum did. It's hard not to wonder what Laughton might have done had he kept directing. A director's first film is rarely their best, so it's fair to speculate he would have eventually made something even better. But that tantalizing curiosity around what might have been only adds to the aura that surrounds The Night of the Hunter. It is a truly unique cinematic experience. A nightmare I wouldn't mind lasting a little longer.
Hush, little one, hush. Hush, my little one, hush. Morning soon shall light your pillow. Birds will sing in yonder willow.